Hey guys, it's David here, and it's currently day 227. No, 267. I hope you guys had a good day and are doing better than yesterday. But the time is currently 5:37. So, this morning, I really didn't want to get up. I wanted to sleep in because I had perhaps the most fantastic dream, but my subconsciousness just didn't allow me to do that. My heart was racing and I just needed to get up. So here I am, up and ready to start the day. Now, the reason why I wanted to sleep in also is because yesterday my training suffered drastically. I have no idea what happened, but my chest session was just not great. Like my weights went down, my reps went down, I felt fatigued. Like pushing to failure was like almost on every single set. Not because I wanted to go to failure, but because I had legit no energy to push my normal weights. So that is obviously extremely odd as my weight has gone up. And recently I have been increasing my lifts at the gym exponentially. So very, very strange as to why that happened. But obviously some days we do have off days, but yesterday was just like crazy because all my single lifts went down. So I guess today I'll see how it goes for legs, but I'm definitely very excited with the day. So that being said, let's get started.
So, guys, it is currently 10 o'clock. Managed to complete my first work vlog, so absolutely amazing. But the plan now is to go downstairs, have some protein, and come back, do 1 hour of reading before I put in some carbs in my body. Now, I do this simply because I want to have my clarity, I want to have my focus when doing the most important thing, or at least a task that requires the most amount of mental load. So definitely it is ideal to be clear and focus when you are learning something, when you are taking on information, so that you can retain more of the stuff you had learned. So it has only has been 1 day since I had implemented this new routine, but I have seen tremendous results. So I'm still going to continue on with this until my schedule and routine does change for whatever reason. And the thing I want to talk about today is the power of application. You see, I used to take on information, whether it's reading, whether it's through YouTube videos, or whether it's just through life experience. I'll listen to people, I'll try seek for more information, and I understand how things work. But seldom do I actually apply what I learned. And half of the time, I forget what I learned. And I don't build this experience behind what I had learned. So a lot of the times, we are learning things for nothing because it goes in one ear and out the other. One day we'll have this aha moment thinking that this is exactly what I should be doing. I should be approaching people this way. I should watch out for these body languages. And we learn about all these human interaction skills or just self improvement stuff, but actually not applying them. So we know it's the right thing to do. We knew it from the start, but we don't do it. And when we don't do something, guys, we never see a change. And when we don't see the change, when we don't actually associate what we had learned and implement it into our own personal lives, then we are going to forget it. Our mind is going to think what we had learned to date, whether through YouTube videos, learning, or reading, we will forget them because our brain will think it's useless. And the thing is, every single day we have to absorb so much information, and our brain isn't like a terabyte hardware where it will store all the information we learned. Rather, it will root out and disassociate anything that we don't use for a long time. So you may have read the book Atomic Habits. You may have read the book Napoleon Hill, Think Rich and Grow Rich, right? You may have read all these self-improvement books about how to talk to people, how to make money, how to respect yourself, how to build confidence around women. But yet, if you don't use these tactics or skills you learn, if you don't apply them, then you're going to forget them. Which is why a lot of the times when we finish a chapter of reading a book, we forget most of the things we had read. And we wonder if we have some issue with our brain that we can't retain what we had learned. But the simple truth is, we are not supposed to just have this pictographic memory where if we had read something or watched something or heard someone say something that we're supposed to remember everything. because that is not, unfortunately, how our brain works. We have to apply it. We have to build these neural pathways where our brain consolidates the information. And we can only do this by two methods: either repetition, through repeating the power of application by using what we had learned right away and doing that constantly so that it becomes automatic, so that what used to feel unfamiliar and awkward becomes a habit of ours, becomes a behavior of us. Or we can associate love behind what we do. We can associate these emotions that are so strong that will move us into doing things that we were not familiar with. But either one of them, we can only retain something, we can only remember something if we use the power of application, if we apply it to our lives. So don't just read the books, don't just watch the videos, and don't just listen to people, but actually use the knowledge you had learned, use the skills you had garnished, and practice them throughout your life. Make sure that you ingrain the knowledge, make sure you use the knowledge, so the next time when you're afraid to approach the opposite sex, or the next time when you're in an important business meeting, you will have these skills available at your disposal. Why? Because you choose to apply it and you use the power of application. And only through application, only through using the skills we had learned, can we then become different? Can we then see a growth and change in our lifestyle? And only then can we actually know that what we had learned, the books we had read, are all for nothing. And rather, I didn't forget the last chapter I read, but rather it has been hidden in the back of my mind, ready to be displayed when the time comes. But just remember, you're not supposed to remember everything. So don't think that if you read 2 books a week, you're the guy. Because I do believe that you may not have remembered everything you read unless you applied it. And which is why it is super important to use what you learn. Because most likely, if you don't, then your mind will root that information out so that it can clear new room for new information to come in. But this is going to be a repeated cycle where you read a new book, where you watch a new podcast, and you don't apply it, and then you forget, and then you bring in new information, you don't apply it, and you forget, and it's just this constant cycle, and it feels like a total waste of time. And sometimes that really is. It's just a waste of time. But obviously, no matter what you do, whether you apply it or not, at the end of the day, reading a book, watching a podcast, listening to some advice is better than nothing. So I say, if you're scared to apply what you learn, if you're scared to go out of your comfort zone, that's fine. Don't force it if you don't have to, but certainly don't give up on reading just because it feels like it is going out the other year. Because no matter what you do, whether you're reading something, whether you're watching something, or whether you're listening to someone's advice, take it to heart. Because there will be one day where the situation and opportunity will come, and it will be better for you to have that knowledge equipped. It will be better for you if you had read some books before that time came. Even though you may have not remembered everything, just doing the things, just reading, just doing something different than laying on your ass, just watching YouTube or watching whatever you are watching. It is better to do something than to do nothing. That being said, always at the end goal, you should apply what you learn, because applying something will definitely make a drastic change in your life. That being said, I'm going to go downstairs now and do what I said I was going to do. And before I leave, hopefully today's training session will be an absolutely amazing one. Legs, going to explode them, squats, calves, you guys know the drills. But I'm excited, so I'll see you guys in a bit. So guys, it is currently 4:21. Just finished my training and absolutely smashed legs today. Once again, my mom came with me, so I think that is why I have that extra motivation to push harder. But either way, leg session done and dusted, feeling absolutely sore. I am a little bit mentally drained, but I just had some food, had some carbs also. So I won't be too surprised if this second work block isn't the best, if I can't stay too focused, because come on guys, after an intense training session and then filling your body with so much carbs is a recipe for disaster pretty much. So the plan is to start off the second work block a little bit easier, doing some easier tasks, and then eventually going to the harder task. But obviously I won't have too long left until dinner, until my last clip. So I'm gonna try grasp all the time I do have now and don't put any second to waste. Because a lot of the times when we say we don't have time or that we are too busy, it is mostly not the actual fact, right? The fact is that we are procrastinating, we are delaying what's important, and we'll be on our phones trying to avoid doing the hard work. And then, you scroll for like a few hours and you're like, oh, it's bedtime now. I guess I don't have time today. Like, a lot of the times, our time constraint is created by ourselves. So, the moment you stop worrying about life, the moment you stop worrying about if I fail at this thing or not, and you just do it, then you actually get something done, guys. And that's important. Because if you don't do it, if you delay it, eventually you're going to have too much of delayed work that you're not going to do anymore because you just don't have the energy or motivation to take on this whole behemoth of work that you had put off for years and years and years. So I guess this is why people say act now. It's not because that if you act now, you may solve the problem or you may become a little bit more wealthy, although it may happen, but very unlikely. The point of acting now is that to overcome this fear and that what you have to face isn't actually that bad. And by doing it now, you will have less of it to do in the future. And that is the principle of acting now. It's not essentially that you're supposed to achieve something at the end of the day. No, is to simply do it and worry about the consequences later. It's simply do it and realize that it is not as bad as I had thought it was first. To overcome this limiting belief of fear, doubt, and worry. So that being said, I am going to head into that fear head first right now. So I'll see you guys in a bit, but wish me luck as I head into this work block. A bit cloudy, but I'll see you guys in a bit. So guys, it is that time of the day, 6:04, and we are finishing off very, very strong today because right after I recorded my last clip, I went right into the hard work. I said, screw the easy work because it is doing the hard things that will build your character. And that is exactly what I did. And it turned out it was not as bad as I had first imagined. And this just clearly goes to show that our emotion will hold our potential back. Our emotions is the thing that lies beneath our potential. So doing the things we are uncomfortable with is going to suck. I have to admit, right? Putting yourself out of your comfort zone, doing the things that requires you to think is going to be uncomfortable. But when you learn how to think for yourself and when you learn how to handle these emotions, you become great. Not only great at what you do, but you become a greater person, both mentally, physically, and most importantly, spiritually, guys. And it's just really hard to explain this feeling of overcoming your fears. But perhaps you could associate this with asking out a crush, asking your boss for promotion, or just putting yourself in this position that you're not familiar with and getting some success out of it. Or not even that, but just to speak your mind. And I'm sure you guys all know that feeling is animated. That's how it feels. You feel animated, right? So I am just very fortunate enough to realize that my emotions will not hold me back if I don't allow them to. That if I control my mind, then there's nothing I cannot achieve. There's nothing that I can't do. Because at the end of the day, that is all is holding us back. It's the mind. And the mind is that of we can control. So the point when we realize and the moment of realization that we think to ourselves that I can control my mind and everything that was not possible can become possible if I just sit with myself with this uncomfortableness of my mind. And that once I control it, then I'll achieve anything that I set out to accomplish. And that perhaps, guys, is the most difficult lesson for anyone to overcome, is to understand themselves and build emotional intelligence
on themselves first, is to understand how to tolerate and handle stressful situations, is to condition yourself to do it even of the worry you are faced with, even of the fear you are faced with, is to constantly fight the urge of being complacent, because complacency is just another way of holding you back from doing the things you're worried about. It's not because we are lazy, it's not because we are procrastinating, but the fact is that we just don't want to be in a position that makes us vulnerable, that makes us weak, that has the risk of us failing, whether in front of people or to ourselves. That is something we don't enjoy. But we have to embrace this. We have to understand that discomfort is not permanent, but a temporary setback that will build your future. It'll build your long term character that you will eventually be proud of. That being said, guys, I am going to go down and have some delicious big bowl of just rice and come back, and I'll probably finish the day off a little bit more easier. I'll watch some lectures, I'll review my notes, and maybe, and I have to actually start planning for my next personal project, as I need to and I want to create something that will help the world deliver their dreams just like I have done for myself. So that being said, I hope you guys had learned something from this, but if not, like always, I'll be here for you guys tomorrow. But until then, good night.